This Pokemon card is quite possibly the hardest thing you can make in Blender, and it's all because of this clear iridescent film. The same film you'll find on CDs, screens, banknotes, and lots of product packaging. But despite how common it is, there's only one render engine on Earth that ships a shader for it. And spoiler alert, it's not Cycles. This video is about a pesky problem in computer graphics that goes back 50 years, one that took me down a rabbit hole of wave physics to arrive at a satisfying solution. It goes by many names: holographic, iridescence, but the technical term for this material is diffraction grating. And it's often confused with pearlescent car paint, but they're actually very different. Pearlescent car paint is a simple color shift that changes depending on the viewing angle, and it can be achieved in Blender with just 2 nodes, which is not what this video is about. This is about the far more complex material that does something I didn't even know was possible: reflection cloning. Normal materials produce one reflection, so if it's reflecting one light, you see one specular highlight. But diffraction grating breaks this rule. Here in a room with one light source, you'll notice that the diffraction grating produces a specular reflection, and then as you turn it, multiple reflections around it. And if you hold this up to the light, you'll see that a single light source appears 49 times, while also stretching into rainbows the further out from the center. Which is why holographic materials look so vibrant and chaotic, because it's repeating every single highlight dozens of times. And if you had asked me years ago if I thought it was possible to produce more than one reflection, I would have told you no, that would break the laws of physics. And yet, here it is. What's even more bizarre is there's actually nothing special about what it's made of. Diffraction grating can be made with normal plastic, cardboard, metal. It can even be made with food that is 100% edible. Because the only thing you need for this to work is microscopic holes or grooves. At roughly 1/40th the width of a human hair, these holes or grooves would repeat at precisely spaced intervals. But if you were to attempt this in Blender, you won't see anything. No cool rainbows, no cool effects, and that's because almost every render engine simplifies light to rays. And this simplification started in 1968 with the first ray tracing paper. Because rays are actually a great way to approximate light. It's just not always accurate. For example, those of you that paid attention in science class might remember that something peculiar happens when you shine a light source through 2 slits. Instead of seeing 2 slits of light, you see repeating interference, the same interference you would see when waves of water go through 2 slits. Proving that although light can behave as a particle, it also behaves as a wave. If you've ever played in the bath with a sibling, you'll understand wave interaction instinctively. You bob up and down at the same time, and the 2 ripples collide in the middle, creating a really big peak. This is called constructive interference. But at the same time, if you looked at where the ripples meet, the peak of one wave eventually meets the trough of another, and they cancel each other out. This is called destructive interference. And well, light bouncing off a surface behaves in the exact same way. Every surface has microscopic bumps, and as the waves bump off them, 2 waves can fall in phase, causing constructive interference, making the light brighter, and 2 waves can fall out of phase, causing destructive interference, canceling the light out. Now in real life, this is happening about 500 trillion times a second, which our brains thankfully can't process, so we see it as continuous light. And that's why rendering engines simplify waves to rays, because not only is it vastly cheaper and more efficient than simulating waves, but it's a good enough assumption for most surfaces. It's just that diffraction grating is one of a handful of materials that don't really work. Because what the tiny holes in diffraction grating do is they force the waves to interfere predictably. When a wave of light hits a hole, the hole acts as an aperture, re-radiating the wave in a predictable direction. If you had a single hole, you wouldn't see anything special. But add a second hole, and where those waves touch is the destructive interference that results in cancelled light. Now, watch what happens when you add a third hole. The angle of destructive interference gets slightly wider, then wider still with a 4th hole, a 5th hole, continued to 10 holes, and you can see very bright areas of constructive interference and the rest falling into darkness as the waves cancel each other out. These beams are called orders, and they represent each reflection clone that you see on the surface. And when the distance between each hole is increased, the more clones you'll see. But what about those rainbows? Well, although it's useful to show light as white, there's actually no such thing. All light is colored. It's only when they overlap that we perceive it as white. The color of each wave relates to its length, which is the distance between the trough and the peak, and those differing frequencies mean that different colors fall in and out of phase at different angles, essentially giving each color a small window where it's isolated. And that's how a bunch of holes create rainbows that are only visible at certain angles. And so that's why Blender can't create hollow foil Pokemon cards. Because while Cycles can tint a reflection with thin film interference, it cannot split one. Coincidentally though, Octane can. In the new 2027.1 release, there's a physical optics material that appears to create the effect flawlessly. Now, I don't use Octane myself, but I'm glad there's a renderer trying to solve it because it looks absolutely beautiful. But CG has always been about faking it. So I wanted to challenge myself to see if I could build a shader in Cycles that mimics the effect. And I basically failed. I spent weeks going deep into the physics and the math that could make this thing work. And I actually got pretty far with it, and I made a pretty decent looking Pokemon card. But it relied on a lot of smoke and mirrors, and it wasn't very versatile. Then I discovered that a Blender artist user by the name of Crop created a way better solution to this 12 years ago. So rather than reinvent the wheel, I reached out to him and he was happy for me to share his solution. Which is good, because he is way better at this than I am. And he actually made 3 solutions for you to choose from because none of them are perfect and they each come with downsides. The first solution is a physically accurate OSL script that you load into your shader nodes here. And from afar, it looks amazing, but go up close and it's an illusion of confetti, which can't be denoised or rendered out with higher samples, so it kind of always feels grainy or splotchy. But worst of all, it's OSL, which means if you try to render on GPU, you're quickly going to hit that group data size error, which gives you no choice but to render on CPU. So even on a high-powered Dell Pro Max T2, single frames still take minutes. So while it's technically a physically accurate solution, its practical uses are limited. The second solution is much more balanced. Beautiful rainbows that can be rendered without OSL using standard glossy shaders. It's just a rabbit hole of nested node groups within node groups, which at first seems very intimidating, but once you inspect it, you realize it's really just doing one thing 30 times. You have a glossy shader set to one color, mixed with 4 other colors, each given an offset normal angle so that the colors split. The clever part is the math that decides how those colors split, which is according to the wavelength, viewing angle, and the order number. Now, it's not a real rainbow, so the color split sometimes looks obvious, and although it's not as slow as the OSL, it is 30 shaders, so it's also not fast either. But in my tests, this was the best general purpose diffraction shader that gets you really close to reference. The third solution is a hack that's a similar idea to where I started. It's not a real shader, it's just a painted on color mimicking how diffraction grating would look from just one light source, which you define here. That means it won't respond to your HDRI, the reflections of anything, or even a second lamp. But it is extremely lightweight and easy to apply on top of another material, which is great for when you want a hint of a holographic look without paying for the accuracy. So those are the 3 solutions created by Crop with a few modifications from me, all of which are Creative Commons and can be downloaded from the link below. Of the 3, the balanced and the fast options are the most useful in my opinion, and it was the balanced one that enabled me to finally create that Pokemon card. And look, I know what some of you are probably thinking watching this. You're thinking maybe Blender's not for me, because what you just explained was so technical I will never understand it in my life. And the good news is, you don't have to. Building a wave optics shader is a really niche skill that only a handful of people on Earth will ever need to know. So for beginners out there, I'll repeat some advice to you. Focus on learning just 3 skills in Blender, and those 3 skills are modeling, texturing, and lighting, because you use them repeatedly. And that is exactly the focus of my new course, the Blender Guru Academy. You'll make fun projects at home while I teach you those 3 core Blender skills that you'll actually be using to make useful things in the future. So to join the Blender Guru Academy or to learn more about it, you can click the link below or scan the QR code on your screen. And for everybody else, thank you for watching.